This meeting is being recorded.
God, scared me.
Okay, guys, so tonight everything is going to be about nutrition and making healthy choices and different options. And when we were talking about this, the first person I thought of was Melissa Taylor. She's my friend, but also we're married to cousins, I suppose. I should be honest. So she's here tonight to talk to you guys about making healthy choices and different things that might be helpful to you when you're thinking about considering your nutrition as you move forward. So Melissa, thank you for coming. And here we go. I think you're muted, Melissa.
Everybody, let's go to unmute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh, I just muted myself because.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so everybody can hear me now.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Sorry, I don't have, there's that weird box still popped up on my screen and I don't have control of anything on my screen. So thank you for unmuting me. I'm just going to start over to say that I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for asking me to do this. This is the first time I've ever done anything in this capacity. And so it's exciting. And I hope that I can help share a little bit of my knowledge simply based on my experience. Just to give you a little bit of my background from my interest in nutrition stems from just, I was always an active kid growing up, and my parents taught me how to eat healthy and took a couple nutrition classes in college, and really started diving deeper into it when I had a child who had food allergies, and I was kind of forced to read labels and figure out how to use substitutions that were safe for my kid. And it has just kind of snowballed from there. And so I'm just happy to share a little bit of my experience and knowledge with everybody else. And sometimes the first step in making better choices is just showing up, getting information, and be motivated to do something different. The little bit of knowledge that I have from my experience is taken years and years to accumulate. And so I just want to share too that it doesn't happen overnight. You have to make little changes that will eventually make bigger changes in your life. And you have to start somewhere. And you can just start small, start with, one snack a day, making a change, or start with one meal a day, making a change. And eventually, once you get a handle on that small change, then you can keep adding changes to it to make an overall healthy lifestyle change. Something that I found out that I thought was really interesting is our health is made up of 80% nutrition and 20% exercise. And so it's important not to forget the exercise portion, even if you just walk 20 minutes a day, or if you like to do more vigorous exercise, that's great too. But 80% of our health is dependent on nutrition. That's a huge percentage. And I think that it's important not to overlook that at all. Something that's a good place to start is reading labels. I don't know if you guys have ever picked up a package or a box of something that you're eating and flipped it over and looked at the nutrition value or the ingredient list. But those are good places to start if you want to try to make better choices. So I'll give you just a few tips. There's a lot of things you can look for, and a lot of things would be dependent on maybe your specific diet that you may have. There's a lot of factors that could play into that, but some specific things to look for are serving size, the fat content, the sodium content, and the sugar content. For instance, if you pick up a small bag of chips, what is the serving size? Is it for the whole bag, or is it for half of the bag? And then everything that you're seeing, like the fat content, if it's 12 grams of fat, you have to actually multiply it by 2. That's 24 grams of fat for just that little bag of chips that you're eating. So you really have to look at that. Sodium, definitely the lower the better. There's so many things that are high in sodium that are packaged. I'm thinking of ramen noodles. They have, I don't know the exact, it's like 1,000 milligrams of sodium, which is really crazy high. I would say stay below 70 milligrams for packaged food if you can. And sugar content, a good guide that I go by is definitely lower is better, or none at all. But if you're going to have a snack and it's going to have sugar in it, try to stay below 14 grams. Those are just some easy guidelines that you can follow. But if you can go better, but try not to go over those things. Something else to look out for is the ingredient list, which is usually right below or right beside the nutrition label. And what you can look for first is you want to have a short list. Anything that has a really long list usually has names that you can't even pronounce. You don't know what they are, and they're usually not good for you. So try to find an ingredient list that is shorter and you actually know the words that are on there. And then also remember that the ingredient list is listed as it appears in the product. So the first thing that's listed is what is mostly in the product. The thing that's listed last is the least amount of thing that's in the product. So if the first thing listed is sugar or corn syrup or something else that's unhealthy, that's probably not a good choice to make. You want to get something that where the first ingredient, for instance, on a granola bar, you want the first ingredient to be oats. You don't want the first ingredient to be sugar. And then another area that I have found to be kind of helpful for me is to, when I'm planning out my meals or my snacks and making my grocery list, I will look at the grocery stores that I typically shop at, and I get online and I search their products and I search their ingredient list before I even put it down on my list to buy, if that makes sense. For instance, if I'm shopping at Aldi or Walmart or Kroger, I'll get online and I will look at their website and I'll look up their products and I'll look at their ingredient list and find out what's in there, first of all, to see if it's safe for my child to have, but also to see if it's a healthy option. If you're buying packaged meat like beef jerky or hot dogs or something like that, not the best choice, but if you do get them, try to stay away from things that are heavily preserved with nitrates and nitrates. I'm getting a little specific and I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to make it more introductory, but just be on the lookout, and then you can make your list based on what you have researched online and make really good healthy options before you even walk into the store. Or you can take advantage of maybe the pickup service if you are interested in something like that, and that makes it easy too, because then you can spend your time at home reading ingredient lists and nutrition labels and knowing exactly what you're buying before you walk in that store. Although I have been known to spend a lot of time in those aisleways, picking up each product, flipping it over, reading what's in it, and putting it back and going on to the next product to find something better. So sometimes it does take a little bit of time in the beginning until you learn what products are good and what products maybe aren't so good. So it might seem a little slow and tedious in the beginning, but just stick with it. And I promise you it'll get easier the more that you do it. So I don't know if you all can hear me and if we can be interactive at all. and you can reply to some of my questions, but I'm going to give this a test. Do you think that the best form of measurement for our health is a scale? So if you're trying to make better choices, do you think the best thing to do is to jump on the scale and measure it from there? And you can answer with a yes or a no.
I would say most likely not.
Very good. It is not always the best indicator. Sometimes it is if you've been to the doctor and they've given you a range to shoot for. You never want to stick with one number. Always ask your doctor for a range. And that's okay if you talk to your doctor about that, but otherwise don't use a scale as your main source of measurement. Even a tape measure is probably better than a scale, but the best thing to do is measure what's going in your mouth. And I don't mean you have to weigh out your food each time you eat it, but think about, is this a really healthy option that I'm putting into my body? Or is it not a healthy option? And I'm just hungry and I'm wanting to put anything in my body really fast. Anything that you put into your body, you should really think about, is this one of the main food groups? Fruits, vegetables, meat, some dairy. Is it a whole food or has it been packaged and processed? Try to get all of those fruits and veggies and whole foods in first before you try to maybe supplement with a snack. And I know that's hard, and that's why I always try to eat meals and eat snacks before I get really, really hungry. Because if I'm really, really hungry, I just go and grab the first thing that I can because I'm feeling so hungry. But if I take my time to plan out what I'm going to have to eat or prepare snacks ahead of time, then I know whenever I reach in the refrigerator or reach in the pantry that I'm going to be getting something healthy and full of nutrients versus just eating something because I'm feeling so hungry. And you can also train yourself to reach for something in the refrigerator before reaching into like a cabinet or a pantry, because usually things that are in the refrigerator are a little more healthier. That's usually where we keep our fruits and veggies. And so try to train yourself. If you're hungry, go straight to the refrigerator before you even go to those boxed and bagged foods that might be in your cabinet. Just a little trick that I learned for myself. And I have learned that if you put good things into your body's going to feel much better. And the more that you get away from those salty and sugary foods and snacks, the less you're going to want them. The more you eat them, the more you're going to crave them and want them. That's how your body works. But the less you eat them, the less you're going to want them. And you're going to see that you're going to start wanting healthier foods the more healthy you eat. You're going to start craving vegetables and fruit instead of those chips and crackers. And just be aware not to exceed the portion sizes. There's a serving size on the nutrition label for a reason, because it's telling you that the serving size is, maybe like half of a cup of something. Or for instance, I'm thinking of when you eat almonds, I think the serving size for almonds is 7 almonds. Now you don't actually have to count out 7 almonds, but just know like just a few almonds, like a very small handful of almonds is the whole serving. So you don't want to eat a ton, because although they are healthy, they are a high fat food, but it's a healthy fat. So just be aware of the serving size and your portion size. If you get a salad is really, really healthy, but if you have a salad big enough to feed 3 people, then that's still maybe not the best choices that we could be making. Salads are great, but make sure you just have like 1 bowl of salad instead of 3 bowls of salad. And then the same can be true of if you choose a healthy sandwich, just have one sandwich and don't get 3 sandwiches with a side of chips. Just get 1 sandwich with a side of fruit or vegetable. It's really important to eat a variety of foods because each food offers different vitamins and nutrients. And so you don't want to always eat the same foods because then you're only getting those specific nutrients and vitamins out of that food. For instance, strawberries are really, really healthy, but they only offer certain vitamins and minerals and nutrients. And so if you never eat celery or you never eat an orange, you're not getting those specific nutrients from those foods. And so it's really important to have a well-balanced nutrition and eat a variety of foods. Maybe make it a goal that every week or every other week you try one new food. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Try something different next time. Or sometimes if it's something you're cooking, try cooking it a different way, adding a different spice or herb to it to make it taste a little bit different, or just try to have it prepared a little bit differently and it might taste different and you realize you like it. Or try it raw. Don't cook it at all and see if you like to eat it raw, if that's an option. And just remember too that vegetables are the most important food group. It's what we need the most of, and it's probably the thing that people eat the least amount of. And so if you concentrate on anything, try to concentrate on getting as many vegetables into your diet as possible. Be creative. If you like, maybe try some hummus or even just some, low fat Greek yogurt or something to dip it in. If you like to dip, just try some different things like that to try to get more vegetables into your diet. And then, don't forget that your beverages or your drinks play into your nutrition too. Obviously pop is a really bad choice. There's nothing nutritious about pop. There's no value coming from that. 70% of our body is made up of water. And so we definitely need to be drinking a lot of water, but sometimes I get it. You want something with a little bit of flavor. And so some good options could be, actually, I'm going to throw it out there to you all. We're going to play a little game of choose this instead of that. And so I'm going to start with the drinks and throw it out there to you guys. If you would choose something to drink that is not pop, because that's a bad choice, but it's not water, maybe you want something with a little flavor. What is one option you can think of to have that might be a good option?
I would say maybe like unsweetened tea.
Yeah, perfect.
And not like, like store brand, because that stuff is still a little sweetened. You could get find whatever it's called. You find a store that has like the tea leaves or something and make the tea yourself. That way it's not sweetened.
Yeah, that's a great option. I love drinking herbal tea, which is a little different than black tea, because I can drink it without having any sugar in it. If I drink black tea, sometimes I don't like the taste of it. It's a little bitter and I'm inclined to want to add sugar to it. So to avoid that, I drink herbal teas like raspberry and peach, or like spice tea or lemon and ginger tea. There's so many teas out there that you can have, and you can drink them hot or you can drink them cold. So there's a lot of options with tea. I love that option. Good job. And then some other options could be lemonade or flavored water. You just have to be really careful along with the tea to watch the sugar content and make sure that they don't have a lot of added sugar to them. But that was really good. Okay, so to continue on with our game, we're going to attack carbs first, because that's usually where it's really hard to break those bad habits. So instead of having white bread, so if you're having a sandwich, instead of grabbing or buying white bread, what is a bread that you could buy?
Whole grain.
Yeah, perfect. So
Hey,
wheat
that was
bread,
my answer.
yeah, wheat bread or whole grain. And sometimes if you're not ready to jump right into such a big change, you can do something a little bit in the middle and choose like a honey wheat, which is a little bit
Yeah.
sweeter. Yeah, and it tastes really good, but you know, it's
Also-
still better. What's that?
There's also a bread called half grain.
Yeah, and so that would
It's not like bad. I've had it before, and it's not like it doesn't have a taste. It's just
yeah, no, I get it. But the half grain is a perfect kind of like the baby step into the best choice. And I think that's great. Half grain is great. Honey wheat is great. All of those baby steps, kind of like the middle ground, are great steps to make better choices. And then what about pasta? So sometimes we like to have pasta, but can you think of a better option than white pasta?
for that one. No.
Okay.
I got nothing.
Okay, so they actually make whole grain pasta. Just like bread, you can buy wheat pasta or whole grain pasta. They also make some pasta made out of other things other than wheat. You could get rice pasta. You could
That's
get,
what I was thinking of.
yeah, you have to be a little bit careful with the rice. The whole grain pasta is definitely a better choice. But they also have pasta made from vegetables. It's called vegetable pasta. So it's really good too. So there are actually a lot of options with pasta, and a lot of people don't know that or don't think of that. But when you go to buy pasta, it's usually just right there beside the white pasta. You'll see whole grain or whole wheat pasta. Let me see. Okay, so those are the carbs. So what if you're wanting like something savory, which means like a salty snack or something salty to pair with your lunch? So I'm thinking usually we grab chips, right? Chips or crackers or something like that. What is a better option?
So don't like take me on this, but like the cup noodles that have like the vegetables and stuff? Those I usually have, and I don't think the salt value of those is like too high.
So do you mean like veggie straws?
It's a little different.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah.
So does anybody else have any ideas of what you could grab instead of chips? Because chips, I'm thinking you want something crunchy, you want something salty. So what is a better choice than reaching for some chips? Nothing?
Honestly, you could try to like make a pretzel.
Yeah. I definitely have made my own pretzels. I make the soft pretzels, and I
Yes.
always, yeah. And in the recipe, it calls for sugar, but instead of sugar, I use honey. You can always use honey or maple syrup instead of sugar in almost every recipe. I
You
never
gotta
use,
get like actual like natural honey. You don't want to get processed honey.
right. That's another great
Like,
option.
there are
But even
plenty
if
of
you use
stores.
processed honey is still better than the white granulated sugar. But you're right, raw honey is a better option. You're very knowledgeable. I love this.
Yeah, like there's like plenty of stores near where I live that actually sell honey. They grow it and or sell it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Farmers markets are great options in the summertime to get local honey. So some ideas that I came up with are raw veggies. And the reason that I say that is because it's important to get those veggies in, but also they're really crunchy. And sometimes that's what I crave with chips is like the crunchiness. And so you can crunch on carrots or celery or cauliflower or broccoli, and you get that same crunchy that you like from chips, and it goes really well with pretty much anything, pasta or sandwiches or pretty much anything.
Something
Go ahead.
something that that my father is actually making right now is like carrot strips, like fried carrot strips.
Yeah.
And you can like fry them more so they're salty and a little crunchy.
Yeah, that's perfect. It reminds me of zoodles. Is that similar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Something else you can have is popcorn. Just make sure that it's not, extremely buttered popcorn and doused with a ton of salt. Like you want just plain popcorn, and then it's really healthy. You could also make your own trail mix. Just when you're buying your ingredients, make sure that your nuts and seeds are unsalted. And if you use dried fruit, try to get ones that don't have sugar added to it. And then, yeah, those were the ideas that I had for savory. And then to jump to sweet, whenever you're craving something sweet like candy or chocolate or something like that, can you think of any good alternatives that would be a better option?
Oranges.
Yeah, so all fruits, I always call them nature's dessert because they are,
Strawberries.
yeah, exactly. So they're really sweet fruits, and that's a perfect thing to have for dessert. Can you guys think of anything else?
I'd imagine like honey, like I've never had this because I'm not a big fan of honey, but like I know some people like get some honey and like wrap bread into a bowl, and that's a little sweet.
Yeah, yeah. Adding honey is a great way to make it sweet and not count as your dessert. Dark chocolate is a good option too. I love to have dark chocolate covered almonds. I eat like just a few, like 3 or 4.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are so good.
I've
They
had
are.
dark chocolate bitter almonds too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then quickly, I think we're about running out of time, but I just want to touch real quick on meat and cheese too. Meats, of course, the red meats are the least healthy, but if you get a lean cut, so try to get red meat that doesn't have a lot of fat with it, then it's not too bad to have it occasionally, but you definitely want to stick more with your poultries like turkey or chicken or something like that, or fish. Fish is a good one. And if a recipe ever calls for ground beef, you can always substitute ground turkey or ground chicken instead to try to make it a little bit healthier. And then always drain the grease off too, whenever you cook that. And then the cheese or dairy, I guess I should say, just be really careful with dairy, especially in America. We tend to add sugar, a lot of sugar to our yogurt. So when you're buying yogurt, just be very, very careful that you're not buying a sugared down yogurt, because then it turns into no benefit. And yeah, there's just no nutritional benefit whenever there's that much sugar added to it. So try to get something that is lower fat or fat-free. And Greek yogurt a lot of times is the healthier option because it does have less sugar. But a lot of the flavored yogurts, if you just read that nutrition label, it'll tell you on there how much sugar has been added. And so you definitely want to steer clear of those. And then do you guys know if yellow cheese or white cheese is the better option in terms of fat? Which cheese has less fat, yellow cheese or white cheese?
I want to say yellow.
That's what I was thinking, but I don't like speaking first.
So you think yellow, white you think yellow cheese has less fat?
I guess.
Yeah, no, totally. Guesses are great. So it's actually the opposite. So yellow cheese has more fat. So if you ever need like a tiny sprinkle of cheese on your salad or something like that, just try to choose a white cheese instead of a yellow cheese. Just a little tip that you can make. And of course, don't ever load up on dairy products. Some are good, but it is a high fat content and sometimes high sodium. So you have to watch that too. But try to choose a white cheese over a yellow cheese and try to choose fat-free or, Greek yogurt instead of something that's totally sugar packed. And so making all those little changes one by one will definitely add up, and you can really train your mind and your body to eat differently and want different things. Just try one little thing every day. Just think about one thing that you can do differently to make better choices, and then try to stick with it, and then add on top of it the next day or the next week to try something new. My kids have been really great at forcing me to try new things. I take them grocery shopping with me and we go and they say, oh, what is this? And I'll say, it's a pomegranate. And they'll say, well, can we get one? And I'm like, sure. And so sometimes I actually have to get on YouTube and figure out how to cut into a pomegranate to get the fruit out. And it's a learning experience for all of us. And then we all end up loving it. I love putting pomegranate on salads and with Brussels sprouts and different things like that. But my kids also love just to eat it plain. So you never know what you're going to like until you try it. So I challenge you to just pick one thing every day or one thing every week to try a little bit differently and think about what is going into your body. And remember that 80% of your health is based on your nutrition. So that's all I've got for you today. Do you guys have any questions for me? You can ask me anything about a substitution that would be good, or.
So for milk, what would you use as a substitution for that? Or like, what would you go for?
So if you like cow's milk to drink, then I would suggest getting skim milk for sure. Definitely avoid whole milk, but skim milk is the best choice if you do cow's milk. And then of course, something like almond milk is a really great choice, or oat milk. My family loves almond milk, and that's what I use for everything. I use it for cereal and baking, everything.
Yeah, I know. I think we've used like coconut milk before, but I'm not.
Yep. So
Sure.
coconut milk is really great. Sometimes it does have a little bit of a coconut flavor and taste, so you just have to be careful with what you're adding it to if you don't love it. Almond milk is pretty great because you usually don't taste it in things. Coconut milk is great for smoothies. Smoothies are a great way to pack in all kinds of fruits and veggies. Don't ever be afraid to add veggies to a smoothie. If you guys like smoothies, of course the greens like kale and spinach, those are pretty common, but you can also add carrots and celery, and you can even add nuts. I add like almonds and pecans and walnuts, and you can add pretty much anything you want to a smoothie. So that's a really easy way to get in a lot of nutrients very, very quickly. Anything else? That was a good question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What about how healthy is grapefruit juice?
Grapefruit juice is any kind. So juice in general, a lot of people think that it's bad, and it gets a bad rep because usually a lot of sugar is added to it. If you get something that doesn't have extra sugar added to it, it's naturally going to have a good bit of sugar added to it. And that's okay in small amounts. If you have a little bit, like half a cup with your breakfast, then that's okay. Or especially added to a smoothie or something. As long as you're not drinking it all day long, then that's okay. Just be very careful not to buy any juice that has a lot of sugar added to it. Grapefruit juice is a good option. Just be careful you're not buying something that and it'll tell you if it's natural sugar or added sugar. It won't say natural, but it'll just say the sugar content, and then it'll say added sugar. And you definitely want to steer clear of anything that has added sugar, because the fruits and the fruit juices already have just natural sugar in them. So that's a really good question.
Thanks.
Anything else?
No. Just like really dizzy.
What?
He's spinning around in his chair, Kenzie.
Well, my
Twice.
mom was talking to me. I told her I was on a Zoom meeting.
Oh, I thought you were
I told
asking
her
about.
I told her that already, but I'm like,
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah, what does she think we're doing? Like,
Okay. Well, so do you guys have any other questions?
No.
You guys
No.
have been, thanks so much for being interactive and talking with me and helping me figure out some good alternative options for making better choices.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you.
I don't even know what it is.